So today I wore this kind of orangey top to work with a pair of black pants. But this was not my first choice what to wear. The first top I put on didn't look that great. So at the last minute I pulled this out of my closet, put it on, and walked out the door. And I went to the restroom and I looked at myself in the mirror and I realized I could be the front woman for a new middle-aged revival of the Spice Girls and call myself Pumpkin Spice. Hey BookTube, it's Kim at Middle of the Bookmarch, and today's video is kind of a chatty one, but I am going to have some extra clips and some discussion in here, but unfortunately, my title is correct. It's the death of yet another independent bookstore. This particular bookstore is a used bookshop, and probably about within a half an hour from me. It is called Avenue Victor Hugo Books, and it is in Lee, New Hampshire, which is very close to the University of New Hampshire. Sorry for the glare, it's got some weird sunlight here. But this is a bookstore that started in Boston in Beacon Street, in the Back Bay in Boston. Vincent McCaffrey, who is also a published author, started his book selling business in a cart on the side of the street in 1975. And he subsequently opened Avenue Victor Hugo Books with his wife. And they were in business in Boston for around 30 years. And he moved his store to a converted barn in Lee, New Hampshire in 2016, I believe. And I'll have the link to his website. I will have his link to his books that he's written in the description box below. I have been patronizing his shop for several years and I can't tell you how many books I bought from his store. And his store was one of those used bookshops where I could actually trade in books for store credit. Never took cash, always took store credit. Well, I'm not sure if COVID affected his business. He's at retirement age and beyond, so I think that partly has to do with the closing of his shop. He's only opened on Fridays and Saturdays, so that as well, I'm sure, has something to do with closing up. He's been in the book selling business for decades and the writing books for decades. So it's a sad day. He announced the closure in August, and for the month of August, he had 20% off his inventory. For the month of September, he is listing everything at 33% off to try to clear out as much inventory as he can. And I am filming this on Tuesday, the 5th. I will be visiting his store this Saturday to see what I can pick up. And I have a little inner turmoil or conflict about that, because I'm thinking, am I kind of just, like a vulture looking for the best deals on books, or am I trying to find some good deals but also support his retirement efforts? And I think it's both, obviously, I'm not going to lie, but his store is just excellent, and he is an expert in book selling, in literature, and the love of books. So it is sad, and a lot of what's sad about it is there are very few used bookstores near me. There is one other one that's about 35 minutes away from me, and it's very small, it's tiny. I'm almost afraid that it as well will go out of business. The owner and proprietor is also nearing retirement age. I believe he is the only one who is there to open the shop, and as good as it is, I don't see it lasting very long. And it's also the size of the store is pretty much, I've been in there a few times. There's not a lot of new stuff coming in as far as used books. He does also offer a small section of new books and new releases, and I have bought things from him in the past. Other than that, the best places to buy used books in my area are thrift stores. We have several Goodwills in the area. One or two of them are better than others. There is a thrift store called Savers, which in Canada is known as Value Village. They are a chain of thrift stores. And there are a few other independent thrift stores in my area that I can go to. But there are no really used shops dedicated just to books. So I love to haunt library book sales, and I love going to my local thrift stores. I'm going to show you a few books that I just recently picked up at Savers. What I'm going to show you right now are bags of books that I have decided to unhaul. And this is not the end of the great unhaul of 2023. A lot of these bags I can bring to a used bookstore that is the largest in New England, Used Book Superstore, and I have shown video of that store in the past. This is a store in Burlington, Massachusetts, and it's about an hour-and-a-half drive for me. Is it worth it? Actually, it is worth it, because they will take any books published within the last 10 years, or any classics, any science fiction or fantasy, and they have a list of authors that they will take as many of them as possible. So I make a plan. I will gather books that I'd like to unhaul, and I will sort them. So I have a couple of bags that are books older than 10 years, and I have, I think, 3 bags of books that are published within the past 10 years. And I'm going to make a plan to take a road trip and make a day of it, go down early, go to the bookstore, it's bigger than a shop, and I'm going to spend some time there, turn in my books, see what I can get for credit, see what I can find, and come home and maybe stop for a lunch or a meal or whatever it is, and take the scenic route home along the beach road, and we'll see. It'll be a day. It's going to be a day, and I have to make a plan for that. So I'll show you that clip right now, and then I'm going to show you a small pile of books that I found at Savers, one of the thrift stores close to me. Okay, everybody, these are the bags of books that I was talking about that I am unhauling. And yeah, these bags are really big. These 3 bags, they're all tote bag size, are books that have been published within the last 10 years. And these are older books. There's 3 paper grocery bags filled. Now, I have a friend who, she has a partner who they both collect books and sell them online, I believe. And I just simply don't have the time to do that. They have a whole store set up. So a lot of times I'll give her bags of books, and she'll trade me, and she'll actually give me baked goods. Soon to be food, which I cannot eat. But these are all books that I've either read or have completely lost interest in. A lot of these were purchased at library sales. This one, The Shadowland by Elizabeth Kostova, I've read that already, and I have that in hardcover as well. This one, Do Not Say We Have Nothing, is a duplicate copy that I had from a library sale, and I read half of it and DNF'd it. The Hound of the Baskervilles, I hated. I read that last year, I think. The Namesake by Jumpo Lahiri, I read that in the Blind Eye Book Club and didn't love it. So if I read a book and either DNF it, hate it, or don't really think it's that great, I will very quickly have it leave my home, whether I donate it or sell it or any of that type of thing. This is a Patrick Rothfuss that I got years ago at a library sale. Never read it, not interested. A Jane Smiley library sale book. There's a bunch of them in there. So let me show you over here. Here's my other copy of Do Not Say We Have Nothing. These books are all books that have been published within the last 10 years. I read Ducks by Kate Beaton, graphic novel. Well, graphic memoir. Wasn't really, it was okay. Hernan Diaz's Trust, I read that. It was okay. We read this for my In Real Life book group. Alice Feeney, I Know Who You Are. This is her book that I didn't read, but I've read several of her other books, and I just got bored. I got tired of them. Academy Street, I read this with Britta. This is Mary Costello, an Irish author. And there's just a bunch of books, read and or unread, books that I've lost interest in. But these 3 bags I can bring to Used Book Superstore whenever I feel like it, and hand them to the book selling counter, and they will give me store credit for them, hopefully. And we'll see what I can get. Okay, So those, I showed you all those bags of books that I'm unhauling, and my plan is to do a big unhaul. Why am I doing this? I've done this before. I'm starting to see the books on my shelves, whether they are read or unread, whether I've had them for years and I've lost interest, or I recently bought them and I've read a few pages and I realize I'm not interested in this. I'm going to be doing a clear out because my book buying has slowed down quite a bit. Yes, I know, I've said that before. And Amelia Reeds, if you're watching, I'm talking to you, lady. Yes, I've said it, and I have the best intentions, but I do want to free up a bunch of shelf space, and my book buying has slowed down quite a bit. So let me show you what I recently found at Savers, and these books all cost $4, and at Savers, if you buy 4 books, you get the 5th one for free. And these are the 4 that I found, and my daughter actually found a very large pile, and so she got some of her books for free as well. This one is To the Bright Edge of the World by Eowyn Ivey. She is the author of The Snow Child. And this one is set in 1885. It is a decorated war hero, Colonel Alan Forrester, leads a small band of men on an expedition that has been deemed impossible to venture up the Wolverine River and pierce the vast, untamed Alaska territory. Forrester records his extraordinary experiences in hopes that his journal will reach his newly pregnant wife Sophie if he doesn't return, because once he passes beyond the edge of the known world, there's no telling what awaits him. She tends to write about winter and snow. So I bought The Snow Child. I hauled The Snow Child recently at a library sale, I think for $1, and I found this one, and I thought, I'm going to pick that one up. Why not? This one is The Other Americas by Layla Lalami. This was published just a short time ago, and it was, a new release, not 2019. So this came out during my first year on BookTube, and I found this almost brand new hardcover copy. When I go thrifting for books, I buy books that are in pristine condition, almost brand new. I have bought many used books from Avenue Victor Hugo, which are classics or older hardcovers, but they are in very good condition. And what they tend to do at Avenue Victor Hugo is he will put Mylar covers on a lot of his older books that still have the dust jacket. And so I've bought several books from him that are in excellent shape, covered in Mylar, so they are well preserved. Lalami is the author of The Moor's Account, so that's another book of hers. This one is Late One Spring Night. Driss Giroue, I believe that's the pronunciation, a Moroccan immigrant living in California, is walking across a darkened intersection when he is hit and killed by a speeding car. The repercussions of his death bring together a diverse cast of characters. His daughter Nora, a jazz composer, who returns to the small town in the Mojave she thought she left for good. His widow, Mariam, who still pines after her life in the old country. Ephraim, an undocumented witness whose fear of deportation prevents him from coming forward. Jeremy, an old friend of Nora's and an Iraq War veteran. Coleman, a detective who is slowly discovering her son's secrets. Anderson, a neighbor trying to reconnect with his family. And the murdered man himself. So yeah, that looks really good. Brand new copy. This one is a reread for me, but I found a brand new, or it looks like it's never been read, hardcover copy of a book I read years ago in my book group, and I've been dying to reread. This is House of Sand and Fog by Andre Dubuis III. This is the story of a real estate conflict and a family in crisis. This is on a road crew in California. A former colonel in the Iranian Air Force under the Shah yearns to restore his family's dignity. When an attractive bungalow comes available on county auction for a fraction of its value, he sees a great opportunity for himself, his wife, and his children. But the house's former owner, a recovering alcoholic and addict down on her luck, didn't see it that way, nor does her lover, a married cop driven to extremes to win her love and get her house back. And this is just a push and pull battle to the end over a house. And the ending is just spectacular, and the book is bleak and driven forward, and the story is just incredible. I just remember loving this book, and finding this brand new, barely read hardcover copy was just a jackpot for me. This was published in 1999, and this book, look at how it's just pristine. So I had to get that. Now this one, I don't often buy mass market paperbacks, but this one was published originally in 1939, 1940, and 1958. I read this book in high school, and I found this mass market paperback has never been read. It's very obviously never been read. And this is The Once and Future King by T.H. White, a novelization of masterful retelling of the saga of King Arthur, with characters as legendary as Excalibur and Camelot, poignant story of adventure, romance, and magic. And I first read this back in high school. It's never been read. The spine is brand new, never cracked, and I couldn't pass it up, even though it's a mass market. And this is an excellent version to read because I can put this right in my big giant purse that I always have because it's big enough to hold a book or two. So those are the latest thrifted books that I found on my book hunt. The only place I will be able to buy used books going forward are thrift stores like Savers and Goodwill, and my beloved library sales. So I am leaving the link to Avenue Victor Hugo Books in the description box below. He will be dealing with books online. He has an online store. If you choose to, go and check that out. All different subjects. He has an incredible fiction section, but I'm not sure if all of his books are online, but go ahead and check him out. Let me know in the comments below what you think, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, everybody.